We had Jason Light on yesterday, Albert, and I tried to pick his brain as best I could with whatever he could share with me about, his relationship with Brady. And, as you know, interviewing general managers as long as you have, asking a question like that of somebody on live TV and radio is fraught a bit because, it could be construed as, well, I'm handing the keys to the store over to Brady and letting him be the general manager. It can be viewed that way. He was very honest. He was saying, like, for instance, with Gio Bernard, he said they were thinking of signing him. He texted Brady. He said, hey, I'm thinking of signing Gio Bernard. And he got a text right back from Brady saying, great, love that guy. So he kind of did run it up the flagpole. And it does make sense to do that because if I'm building a team right here from my show, you're building a team for your world and you're generating your content, Albert, you're going to reach out to people and say, I'm thinking to hire this person. What do you think? Because if they're valuable to you, it kind of does make sense. And it doesn't seem like Rodgers is getting that. And it's interesting. What about that nugget about his contract? How does that inform the relationship in a way that they could have done that and then use that money to actually build around him now, and they chose not to do it because they don't like mortgaging the future? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
So if you look at Brady's contract's mortgaged to the hilt. Like there's going to be a bill waiting for the Bucs whenever Brady walks out the door, and they're fine with it, And then you look at some of their other contracts, and Ndamukong Suh's new contract, Rob Gronkowski's new contract, Levante David's new contract, all these guys that they brought back, right?
Yes.
To kind of bring the band back together. All of those contracts are mortgaged as well. Well, why are they mortgaged? Because that's the only way that they can make everybody happy financially and keep everybody in-house. And eventually, it's like credit cards. Like all of that's going to come due at some point. And the Packers just, as a rule, haven't done that. They've always had very clean contracts. The reason why I think that trigger is an interesting detail is not only will the Packers not do it with other people's contracts, they won't do it. They're not doing it with Aaron's contract. Like the guy who would want you to do that with his contract, they're not doing it with his contract. And so it's two different team building philosophies. And, if you're 25 years old or 30 years old and you're Aaron Rodgers, then, maybe you're okay with the Packers building that way. But again, if you look at it, you say, we may only have 2 or 3 more shots at this. Well, then, I'm thinking, Aaron's probably thinking, like, no, I want you to mortgage every contract on this roster so we can fit as many good people in here as we possibly can.
So how's that quote-unquote fixable? As my colleague James Jones has pointed out, or John Kuhn has said publicly, and we're using those words to try and inform us about whether this is in fact a fixable problem between Rodgers and the front office. Free agency is already history. I mean, and then we heard about the conversation that Rodgers did not personally restructure his contract. Was that something that Rodgers might be kind of disturbed with it being termed that way when they could have already triggered this thing anyway? And they come to him asking him for a restructure? Is that
yeah.
Also
I mean, they
something?
don't need to. I mean, like I said, like all they got to do is press that button, Rich. You know what I mean? Like all they got to do is press that button, and the contract's restructured. So, again, they've got the negotiated right to do that, and they haven't done it. And fixable. Yeah, I think so. So here's the way I look at it.
Yes.
I had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers about this a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And, we talked about him falling in the draft, and, he said that doesn't really motivate him anymore. It's like it's hard when you've had the success that he's had for that to motivate you anymore. So his new motivation, he said was, I'm going to see how long I keep playing at this level. And he actually bought Tom Brady's book, like the TB12 method, and adopted some of the principles there. And so, I think, like, to me, like, what would be an intelligent appeal would be to go to Aaron Rodgers and say, listen, like, we want you back here. We think we've got a championship team right now. We've got a lot of guys on the roster who are in the heart of their prime. We feel the need to win right now. So the ship has sort of sailed on this offseason. So there's nothing we can do right now. Let's give it a go with the team that we have. And then we promise you that if you want to keep playing, and you're 38 now, you want to keep playing in your 40s like Brady did, we will start to do some of the things that the Buccaneers have done for Brady. If they can do that, open up the lines of communication, I think there's a path there, but I don't think it's going to happen without a little give. And it's not just the contract. The contract's a part of it, of course. And I think giving him the assurance he'll be the quarterback for the foreseeable future, that, of course, is a part of it. But I think also, giving a little bit on the way you build a team, I think would probably go a long way with him.
So the Bucs and the way that they're doing it with Brady and being ultimately successful at it, is just messing with the greater scheme of things, certainly in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, not just that, Seattle. What about Russell Wilson? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think that, that's necessarily an issue that's going to go away next year. You know what I mean? I just think it's, and I guess you can trace some of it back to LeBron and the super teams, right? There's just, I think athletes are more cognizant of what's going on around them than ever before. And the fact that the Bucs built this way and it worked, again, that's the key to it, and it worked, is a huge thing. Because now, I think quarterbacks are going to look at it and say, I know what sort of leverage I have. I'm quasi-management as it is. If you're a franchise quarterback, that's what you are. And I just, the way I see it is, I think this is the beginning, not the end of these things starting to happen. The beginning, not the end of these things happening with franchise quarterbacks.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.